You're listening to Closing Market Weekly, the show where real estate closings meet real world insight. With your host, Phillip Hogan. And every week we break down the trends, tools, and the timing that keeps deals moving forward. Let's dive in. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Closing Market Weekly. I am Phillip Hogan, your host. Many of you may know me as the CEO of Signing Services of America. Since 2016, I've worked with so many different professionals across the mortgage industry, you would just not believe how many there are. And one thing that I've come to realize is that we're talking with one another, but many times we don't talk to one another about what's going on within the mortgage industry. And while the previous guests have always represented a particular position within the mortgage industry, today's guest is someone that's very, very special to me. And I'd like to share with you her bio and then explain to you why she's so special and then introduce her. So here we go. Marilyn Jenkins is a digital growth strategist with a career spanning back to the early 1990s. As the founder of MJ Media Group, LLC, and Law Marketing Zone, she specializes in all the aspects of digital marketing, including paid advertising, SEO, Google Business Profile optimization, reviews, management, and a database reactivation to drive business success. With a proven track record of helping law firms achieve remarkable growth, Ms. Jenkins has crafted strategic marketing plans that have led many of her clients to exceed multiple seven-figure revenues, with some realizing returns on investment ROI as high as 14 times. Her podcast, Leadership in Law, features weekly interviews with prominent attorneys and legal service providers. Each episode explores key topics that matter most to law legal professionals, from driving rapid growth to building a successful and cohesive team. Her private community for law firm owners, Law Firm Growth Guild, offers life coaching expert insights and networking opportunities to drive your firm's success. Marilyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Philip. I'm excited to be here.
I don't know who's more excited, you or I.
It was a
so,
pretty big intro to live up to, but there we have it.
oh my gosh, I'm sure you have led up to this 1,000 times already. And this, let me give a little backdrop into how we met. And, audience, I did some podcast guest appearances in 2024, and I was invited to Marilyn's show to talk about my role in Signing Services of America. Well, we had a really great show. And after the show, Marilyn and I talked off camera, and she just kind of like edged me to considering becoming a podcaster. And at that time, I was like, "What? Okay, yeah, I hear you." But I held on to it. I respect Marilyn's insight and suggestions, and I held on to it. And so in 2025, when it came time to renew my agreement with the company that had selected the different shows for me to appear on as a guest, I says, "Well, shucks, you know what? I think I can do this myself." And so in August of 2025, I started Closing Market Weekly. But Marilyn, I really owe the beginning days and the nudge to you, because you thought enough of what you're doing and the power of being a podcaster to encourage me to become one myself. And I'm glad I did. And thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely, it's what you have to offer is a great incentive for education for your market.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right, and that's one of the things that we really strive on, is being able to educate our market, and the podcast is a great vehicle form to do that. So, Marilyn, let's get into your background, and would you please share with us, how did you wind up becoming a digital growth strategist, particularly for law firms?
Well, it started like a lot of people in the 90s, having a tech background and small businesses saying, I need a website, but I don't know how to do that. So you start by building websites and helping people with their online presence. Then, well, I need traffic to it, but I don't know how to do that. So it's been a lot of learning and keeping up with technology, and then getting referrals. When I started doing paid ads in the early 2000s, I was referred to some attorneys. We did extremely well with them. And so about 2018, and basically, I work with service-based businesses, but I rebranded to Law Marketing Zone, and that's where I do my marketing. Everything I do can be done for service-based businesses as well. So it can, go across niches. That's why I'm happy to chat here. Any service-based business could take these techniques and work with them. And a lot of my platform is teaching
Mm.
this to people. And then if they need help, well, then they can give me a call and we can help them.
But why law firms? Out of all the service-based industries that are out here, what particularly resonated with you to select the law firm to be your clients?
I feel like a lot of everyday Americans feel like lawyers are not approachable.
Mm.
And it's almost it's unrealistic for most law firms to buy the bus wraps or the billboards or the park benches. It's just not as effective because you can't track it. You
Hmm.
can't figure out what's working. You're just throwing money at it. It's like newspaper ads. It's just difficult to see what's working. And
Hmm.
so with digital marketing, we can track it, we can see what works, and we can see what traction you're getting and what to double down on.
Hmm. And so, since you say that the attorneys can be some unapproachable, what particular approach did you design that allowed you to penetrate that
Well, I mean, think
that
about it. Okay,
force
so
field?
they have the big words and the lawyer speak and all of
Uh-huh.
that. And
Yeah,
the normal person, they're needing a lawyer on one of their worst days.
yeah.
So it's just even more. So what we like to do is video and other types of advertising. Even changing some of the context on their website that makes them speak to their client, but the
Uh-huh.
know, like, and trust factor of the videos
Uh-huh.
and just more and more information on their Google business profile to explain who they are, show their culture, show
Hmm.
their team, their
Hmm.
office, those kinds of things. They're normal people. They just have a better vocabulary when it comes to needing something legal, right?
And I asked the question because sometimes some attorneys can be a little bit intimidating, and
Yes.
unless you really know how to really push through that wall of intimidation, you're so like will be left with, oh, gosh, what do I do? What did I do wrong? And
Mm,
so it's just really impressive that you were able to not only recognize how attorneys are, but devise a plan of action, if you will, to be able to work with them. And I think
exactly.
with that's really the I think the sweet spot that really all entrepreneurs must be required to have, which is the ability to figure out, well, how do I devise a system? Who do I want to work with? Why do I want to work with them? And what system do I devise to be able to accomplish those things? And
Exactly.
that's certainly some of the joys that I've gotten out of being an entrepreneur as well. And so, you do you want to share one of your most memorable moments in the work that you do with the population that you serve?
Memorable moments.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, on a really good basis, we work
Uh-huh.
with clients with their getting them found locally with their Google business profile,
Uh-huh.
and we were able to take one client from being uh, increasing their visibility by 20 points in less than 5 weeks, just by
Wow.
doing the things we needed to do and providing content to teach Google more of what types of services they should be found in.
Uh-huh. And then
So
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, so just so that shows that consistent activity and consistent content is what Google is looking for.
Hmm. And I'm sure your client was very appreciative that they brought you aboard and they trusted you and they took your leadership and they're so satisfied with the results that you provided. Would you not agree?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. And so sometimes I think with in business, particularly small businesses, entrepreneurial type businesses, marketing is sometimes not the most prominent particular service that entrepreneurs think they need, right? you know.
That's right. I mean, they look at it as an expense, not as an investment, and that's kind of the opposite way because if you're not growing, you're attrition, right? You're shrinking.
Yeah.
So you have to continue to market. You have to keep telling new people who you are. You can't just live on referrals.
Right.
Referrals are a very nice gravy, but they're not going to be the meat and potatoes, right? You
Yeah.
have to build your meat and potatoes.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I love that saying that marketing is not so much an expense, but it's an investment, and that investment is getting people to know more about who you are, and that way, people when they're ready to do business with a company like yours, but because of the marketing plans that you created, they can find you, they can contact with you, they can communicate with you, and if they feel there's a good connection,
Hmm.
do business with you.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
in the marketing space, Maryland, it's becoming so diverse. First we had Google, right? And everyone was going to Google and doing some really great, satisfying research. And now we have, AI, right?
Hmm.
And so AI has come in and really kind of like mix things up a lot. And I don't know whether Google's getting the push and kind of like move over. Here's another kid on the block with Chat GPT and all other types of AI platforms. And would you speak a little bit to the particular type of marketing strategies, not marketing strategies, but tools that
Hmm.
someone can use to be found on the internet?
Well, I think the interesting thing is with the AI engines, what's happening now is it's just like when you say talk to Siri or Hey Google or any of that kind of thing.
Hmm.
People are asking questions as
Hmm.
opposed to just going to Google and typing in divorce lawyer near me.
Hmm.
They may be asking, Hey Siri, how long does it take to get a divorce in North Carolina?
Hmm.
Right? That's
Hmm.
a full on question. So,
Hmm.
what we're looking at now is the content that you're providing on your website, on your social medias, on your Google business profile. Need to answer those questions, but ask those questions as people are asking.
Hmm.
Because AI is actually, with the large language models, they're going around and looking at the web and seeing, are you relevant to answer this question?
Hmm.
Do you have better content on your website? Have you
Hmm.
been cited on other places? Are you linked from other places? And that gives you more relevance to be found in those search results.
Hmm. And so that's wonderful, and thank you for sharing that. And I know with the work that Signing Service America is doing, we're looking into a number of marketing strategies, and AI is constantly popping its head, and
Yeah.
and so we're talking. The marketing team and I are talking about, okay, well, how do we strategize the information that we want to just disseminate on the internet to include what AI may be able to look for, and what does Google look for. And we're finding that the the radius, if you will, of Google is much more narrower than AI is. It's very expansive, and as a result, we're we found some new sites that we didn't know we were on, right? And we're working at being able to communicate with those sites to just give them some updated information. So Marilyn, so since you worked in marketing and you've done very, very well for yourself, we talked about, and you sort of like alluded to this earlier, which is the Google business profile on a person's or company's website or company's Google page. Would you talk us through what is that? How does one create it? What is the benefit of it? And any other information that you like to share?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking because it is such an important feature. A lot of people think of it as it used to be Google My Business, and that's where people thought about storing reviews, right? They did. That's all it was. They didn't think anything about it. Google Maps has been around for a long time. Google Places has been around for a long time. Google Business Profile is the new name for it, right? It's simply a new version. Every time they add more features to it, they relaunch it with a different name. The difference is 50 to 80% of clicks that come through a Google search happen on the map pack. Now, if you go and say, like I said, if you're a consumer, say you're out walking around in a new town and you're like, hey, let's have a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So you pull out your phone
Mm-hmm.
and you type in Italian restaurant near me.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen is you're going to see a beautiful little map and three little listings.
Mm-hmm.
Those listings depend on how many reviews they have, how close you are to them, and how relevant they are to the search you just did,
Mm-hmm.
right? It
Mm-hmm.
could be different if you said pizza delivery near me,
Mm-hmm.
but that is the map pack. Each one of those, if you click on it, opens their Google business profile.
Mm-hmm.
This will tell you their hours of operation, their categories of what they are, the address, that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure. So if you go and you were to Google your business name, if a Google business profile shows up, even if it's blank, you can click on the thing, I own this business. There's a link there, and you
Mm-hmm.
can take that over.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, if you've been around any time, you already have one.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't claimed it, you want to claim it and verify it.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is with everything you do, you're telling Google the types of searches you should be found in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine you're a pizza restaurant, and so you want to choose the categories of Italian food, pizza
Mm-hmm.
delivery, anything that's relevant. You
Mm-hmm.
have multiple categories you can choose. And I say choose those in order of the type of business you want. Okay. Whether you're a bakery, an Italian restaurant, a law firm, a dentist office, any of those types of things, you all will have a Google business profile. That's where you keep your reviews, you put your hours, all of this different kind of stuff. But
So
then,
Marilyn, let me just interject here, and thank you for that. And you touched on something, and I was waiting for you to speak about that, which is the reviews. And can you please air out a little bit more about the power of having your Google reviews and then replying to those reviews?
that is a superpower that a lot of people are not using. So keep in mind that Google is the #1 search engine in the world. And the reason they are is they care about the user experience. So when you get a review, Google sees that someone reviewed you. So whether it's a 5-star, 4-star, or 1-star review, you should reply to that. Google will look at that and see, this person cares about the user experience. In addition to that, future clients will see that you care about a good or a bad result and that you handled it professionally. So reviews are extremely important by giving social proof, right? Amazon for years has taught us to look at reviews before we make a buying decision. So of course we're going to do that on Google. If you are replying to each of your reviews, you have possible more brownie points to show up higher in the map pack than say a competition that has more reviews because they never reply to reviews.
So then let's make sure we understand what you're saying here, Marilyn. I think the audience does, but I want to flush it out that if a business has 225 reviews and the owner of that business has only replied to 100, that business owner is pretty much shooting themselves in the foot by not replying to all of the views that have come in.
True. I mean, if you've replied to 50% of them, then that's great because most of your competition's not. But keep in mind, every time you put something on your Google business profile, whether it's a reply to a review, an article, a question and an answer, anything like that, you're telling Google, I care about the user experience. And you will get more prominence in the searches because of that.
So we want to make sure that the your Google business profile is completed correctly with the hours of operation, your telephone number, your website. Maybe would you suggest that the business owner or the entrepreneur adds a few pictures onto?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that would,
And there's room for a video. But yeah,
oh,
absolutely. Put a picture of your staff, your storefront. What you want that to do is when someone looks at that, there's a pin at the top of the Google business profile. There's all those pictures. You want to look trustable, right? Approachable. You want to look like people will know you, so they're going to come by. But when you said hours of operations, I want to deviate just a quick second because we're
sure.
coming into the holidays, right? Anytime we're around a point where your hours might change, Google actually now has a thing in red they do when someone's doing a search near a holiday, and they'll say in red, last updated. So if it's holiday time and your type of business is potentially closed, say on around the holidays, it will let the searcher know that you haven't updated or the last date you updated your hours might have been last year, or it was last week.
And so, audience, Marilyn, we have a really eclectic population that's in our audience, and there are notaries, there are attorneys, and then also title company representatives, escrow officers, presidents of title companies, etc. And so, what you're saying is beneficial to everyone that is in business, right? Whether you're self-employed or whether you're working for a company. In this, you do not have a Google, or your company does not have a Google profile, a Google business profile, then maybe you should approach the business owner or the company owner and say, hey, listen, you know what? I think that we're losing out on the opportunity to get more business. And they may ask you, well, how do you know that? Well, I was just listening to Closer Market Weekly, and the guest was talking about the benefit of a Google business profile, and we don't have one. And I think that we should have one. Right. And then you may be responsible for having to start it. But
or maybe it's there and it has to be claimed because it originally began like if anybody's old enough to remember the Yellow Pages, it was kind of like to populate the original Google Places. It was almost like an import of the Yellow Pages.
Right.
So now it just gets created whenever businesses are created. So you need to get it and claim it.
Yep, you need to get it, claim it, and constantly work on keeping it updated. And
Exactly.
that's the other important message that I hear is that you can never put too much information on the internet because it is the place to find businesses today. The yellow books are no longer something that people use.
That's right.
I'm aging myself here, but you know, and so audience, listen, Marilyn is a great guest, and obviously you see that as well. Charming woman to know. And I want you to also hear some other things that she has accomplished. Marilyn is a published author. Her books are available on Amazon. The 2025 local SEO playbook for law firms: outrank, outshine, and outperform. The complete blueprint for purchasing your competition in local search results. Another book is Win Clients and Boost Revenue. What a name for a book. Boost Client, Win Clients and Boost Revenue. This book is your comprehensive guide to mastering the online marketing landscape. And finally, well, as you know, Marilyn talks about the Google Business Profile Training Guide. This comprehensive guide empowers businesses to take control of their online presence and attract more qualified customers. So, speaking about attracting more qualified customers, Marilyn, if someone would like to reach out to you, how can they do that?
The best way to reach out to me is you can find me on LinkedIn or you can go to my website at lawmarketingzone.com.
Fantastic. Great. Well, Marilyn, that pretty much wraps up today's show. Thank you so much for not only being my guest, but obviously, giving me the nudge to become a podcaster. And I'm honored to have become one. And thank you for coming to the show and sharing your great information with us. And, my audience, please listen, like, follow, and share, particularly on YouTube. We don't mind having more subscribers. And you can also find our content on Apple and Spotify. Until next week, you guys take care. Bye now. Thanks for tuning in to the Closing Market Weekly. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone in the industry. For more insights from the front lines of real estate closings, we'll see you next week.